Hello, I'm patching into today's video. Going to have a look at the temperature anomalies for December. They've just been updated from the UK Met Office, so we can see what the anomalies were suggesting for the country. Also have a look at the chance of a cold snap next week, and also we'll have a look at the CFSV2 for coming up, so I'd like to be getting on. We're going to start off with the temperature anomaly for December, going back to 61 to 1990 averages. So this is it. This is the December 2015 mean temperature, 61 to 1990 anomaly, and you can see that it was exceptionally warm month across most parts of the country, much of England and Wales going off the scale. The scale is here, so set against 61 to 90, we go above 3.5 degrees above average, which is off the scale as far as the scale goes for much of England and Wales. Scotland and Northern Ireland not as warm, but even there it has been a warmer than average month, so much of Scotland coming out between around say 1 and 2 degrees above average, as does much of Northern Ireland as well. That's 61 to 1990. If we compare that to a more modern average, such as 81 to 2010, very little difference. Actually, it's a little bit warmer across Scotland compared to that anomaly, rather than 61 to 90. But still, generally, it's England and Wales as off the scale in terms of the warmth, going 3.5 degrees above average, which is as far as the scale goes. Scotland and Northern Ireland again, anything from around 1 to 2 degrees above average, but a really, really warm month across most parts of the country, right at the very extreme scale of what is possible in a winter month in the United Kingdom, and particularly focused on England and Wales. Now, despite the warmth that we had in December, it looks like you're going to get a bit of a cold snap next week. So this is the GFS for Saturday, with low pressure driving in off the Atlantic, and that keeps going into sunny. So generally in a mild Atlantic driven pattern through the weekend, even inside of next week, 975 millibar area of low pressure over top of the country on Monday will bring very unsettled conditions through. And it's as that low pressure clears away to the east on Tuesday that we start to open the door to northerly winds. So start to bring the ice bars into the north and the northwest, with cooler air beginning to move through on Tuesday. That again opens the door to a northerly wind as we get through into Wednesday. How quickly, how quickly these troughs of low pressure clear eastwards will be the deciding factor as to how quickly this cold air gets in. If the troughs sort of hang around the country through the middle part of next week, then it's going to delay the progress of that cold air. But eventually that low pressure does shift to the east, goes the door to these northerly winds. This isn't a locked-in cold pattern, though. It's just a cold snap, really. We haven't got any particularly strong blocking up to the north and the northwest of the country around Greenland, Iceland on this particular run of the GFS anyway. So whilst this is cold, it's probably bringing night frost, it's probably bringing snow showers to the north particularly. It isn't that sort of locked-in cold that can go on for 2 or 3 weeks. The reaches over country by day 10, which is Friday the 15th of January, but very quickly that breaks down, and by Sunday the 17th we're actually back into a mild westerly flow, with mild air coming around the top of that high pressure. The ECMWF looks like this for Saturday. Again, low pressure driving in off the Atlantic, so it's mild, wet, windy inside of next week as well. Day 8, which is a week today, Tuesday 12th of January, is for change as that trough shifts eastwards into Central Europe. That opens the door to a northerly wind, and that brings the colder air down from the north. Although very quickly, by Wednesday the 13th, that's already going back into the west or the northwest with the isobar, so even then it's trying to turn a bit milder, but things are kept generally fairly chilly as we go through into second half of next week. Day 10, Friday 15th of January, looks like this. Still more or less in a cool or quite cold northerly wind, but it's no more than a cold snap, this, because with this high pressure out to the southwest of the country will very quickly start to draw milder air around the top of the high again. So although for many northern and central parts of Europe, winter really is biting in through the course of next week, but for us it isn't that fundamental shift in the pattern that we're looking for to produce a prolonged cold spell. Don't want to write things off though, and even a cold snap is going to be very significantly different compared to what we've had so far this winter. So I think we're probably going to get some night frost next week. We're probably going to get wintry showers. I would suggest there can be snow in the north and the northeast of the country in particular sometime around the middle of next week. So it's winter. I mean, it's not anything to be too alarmed about. It's not going to be, probably, if these models are right, not going to be anything too severe, but it will be a change on what we've had. The GEM, the Canadian model, is a little bit more prolonged with this cold weather though. So on Saturday, driving the low pressure in off the Atlantic, that stays with us into the start of next week as well. But by driving it through to Tuesday, again, that's the change over to a colder, drier pattern as wind goes into the north, trough of low pressure shifts away to the east. And then we stay quite cold throughout next week. So day 10, Friday 15th of January, for instance, looks like this. Still with the ridge in the northern part of the Atlantic, where the other two models are placing that back towards the Azores. The GM still has it somewhere to the south of Greenland, with the troughs of low pressure to the east. That's still allowing these cold northerly winds to come in. And actually there's quite an impressive area of low pressure around the Azores, which is sort of propping up this ridge and stopping it slipping back towards the Azores. GM's always a little bit different though, and we probably should be siding with the GFS and the ECM, which are both suggesting a cold snap next week, maybe lasting 2, 3 or 4 days, and then probably back to a milder westerly flow once again. But it's very early days and we're going to have to monitor it and see how it plays out. Maybe more significant than the temperatures will be the precipitation, because I think we'll have a significantly drier week next week. So I think we should soon be breaking out of this very, very wet pattern that's been causing so much havoc over the past few weeks. Just finally have a look at the CFS when we came up. So these are the 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into weekly periods. The first week is the 5th through to the 11th of January. There's all the ridging across the north over the polar field. Despite the fact that the stratospheric warming hasn't occurred, so we're still seeing this blocking, but I'm not sure it's sort of locking in, if you see what I mean. To get a real prolonged locked-in block pattern over the pole, you would expect we'd have to have a sudden stratospheric warming. We're not seeing a great deal of evidence of that. So this is a change to what we've had this winter, but I'm not sure it's a fundamental change that's going to last for several weeks. So anyway, that's the ridging up to the north. This is the trough, but still going to be keeping us very unsettled and mild into the start of next week as well, with Atlantic-driven conditions. Week 2, which is the 12th to the 18th of January, so over the middle part of the month, this is the change as the trough shifts to the east and the ridge still there up to the north. It allows the wind to go into the north, bring down colder air across the country, possibly some wintry conditions as well during the middle part of January. So the CFS is seeing this change as well. Week 3, which is the 19th through to the 25th of January, shows this ridge is building down over the country, so still a lot of settled weather here, and probably still quite cold as well. It may be warming up a lot, but I think down on the surface this will still be relatively cold under all of this ridging. And then week 4, which is the 26th of January to the 1st of February, again lots of anticyclonic weather going on here. So a prolonged dry spell is setting up in the second half of January. That will be very good news for all of those people that have been flooded. The actual flow is probably coming in off the Atlantic, I would have thought here. So this will be a milder week right at the end of January, as that low pressure is reforming back to the north. The ridge is slipping down to the south, so the flow is coming back in off the Atlantic. But at least it's significantly drier. Temperature anomalies finally looking like this for the coming week, significantly warmer than average. The next week looks cooler. It isn't going for anything particularly cold. I think this may be a bit undercooked actually. It could be a cooler or even a colder week than this is suggesting on the sort of pattern that the model wants to set up. Week 3, which is the 19th to 25th of January, bit milder than average. This is when the ridge is over the top of the country, so I would think the model is seeing fairly mild air a lot, but down on the surface it could still be quite cold, particularly at night. And then week 4, going to the very end of the month into the 1st of February, shows things turning much milder again, and that's fair enough because we're probably bringing the ridge. We're probably taking the ridge down to the south and bringing the air back in off the Atlantic over top. So it's quite a difficult one, this, to judge where things are going next week. At the moment, I would tend to go more towards just a cold snap rather than anything particularly locked in and severe. But even a cold snap will be a lot different compared to what we've had so far this winter, and the main thing, more than the temperatures, could well be the shift to drier conditions. We may well be losing, once we get to around a week away from now, we will hopefully start to lose these very deep areas of low pressure, but of course such problems with flooding over the past month to 6 weeks. So I think we are beginning to see signs of an improvement and a trend towards drier weather, hopefully. Right, that's it for now. It's a 5-day forecast tomorrow, so come back for that. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.